So I'm going to show you how to graft two pieces of knitting together. And grafting is a really nice way of sewing basically cast on or cast off bits of stocking stitch together. So I'm going to put these two pieces together, and the way I'm going to do it is by actually creating the knitted stitch using a needle and piece of yarn, so you can't really see the join. So it looks like I've just created an extra row of stitches here. Now if you're doing my alphabet blanket, then you will have lots of different colour squares like these, and you want to sew them all together in a long column first, and you need to use the colour of the letter that goes above for your grafting all the way through. So I'm going to join D and H here together, and I'm going to use the sugared almond colour to graft these two pieces together. But if you're grafting anything else, it doesn't matter, you're probably just using the same colour, so it's a bit simpler. Now first of all, you need a length of yarn threaded onto a sewing up needle. Now when you look at your stitches before we start, it's probably just worth dissecting the knitted stitch. And if you can see here, if we look at this stitch here, every stitch of stocking stitch is a V. So you've got one side of the V there, and there's the other side of the V. And when we're grafting, you need to focus on the centre of the V, which is there, and either side of the V, which is there and there. Okay? And the bottom piece of knitting, we're always going into the centre of the V, and the top piece we're always going round the V. So hopefully that will become clear while we go along the knitting. So first of all, see, the bit in the corner is really tricky, but I know that this is 17 stitches long, and I also know that I just need to go into the centre of the V just on this right hand corner. So it's easy to see the second stitch in, which is there. Those are all the V's, V, V, V. And so this bit of a mess at the end here is the first stitch, and I want to put my needle under and through the centre of that first stitch first of all. So I'm putting my needle up through there and bringing the yarn through. I'm just going to leave a bit of a tail to sew in later. Now we move on to the top piece of knitting, and here we want to go around the V. So you're looking for pointed V's down. So there's one, and so here's the one on the end. Again, it's a bit of a mess, but I'm just going to go round there, and don't worry too much. You just need to get your needle into the top section of knitting, and then it'll become clear as we go along. So I've put that through there, and I'm going to pull that yarn through, and now we're ready to go. So now we need to go back into the centre of the V here, so back where your yarn came out of here, and then come up through the next centre of the V. Okay, so there's one stitch, here's the next stitch, so I've got my needle in there and I'm pulling it out there. So these are through the pointy bits. Now you go back to your top bit of knitting, you go back where the yarn came out of, which is here, and around that V. Can you see that there? There's that V. And we're going all the way around it with this one. Pull that through. Now when you're grafting, what you want to do is to get your stitches the same size as your knitting. So you don't want to pull it too tight, also you don't want it too baggy. Okay. So we've come out around that stitch, and we're going to go back in to where we were here. So back into the centre, in there, and then you get your needle to come out the centre of the next stitch like that. And then we go back into the top, and we're going back where the yarn came out, which is there, and all the way around the next stitch, which is there. Now if I pull this now, you can start to see the stitches emerging. So it almost looks like we've got an extra row of blue knitting, and the pink is just attached to it. Okay, I'll carry on for a few so you can keep watching. So into the centre, out through the centre of the next one. Oh, I've just split it there. You need to be a bit fussy with this. So if you do split the yarn, you need to take it back out again, because that's what will make it look a bit messy. So sorry about that. So there we are. So that's that thread on. So you go back into the middle and out through the middle, and then up to the top. I'll just keep that on a bit loose for a moment and I'll pull them through in a sec. So round the V on this one, and now you want to just make sure the stitches are the right kind of size. You can see your stitches there. And now I'm going to carry on to the end so that you can see how it looks. As we keep going. And there we are. So I've just gone all the way to the end, creating my new row of stitches, which is here, and that's your two pieces grafted together. And you can see on the back you get very little bulk, which is also makes it very good for like shoulder seams and things. The only thing to remember with grafting is you do need to have the same number of stitches with your two pieces of knitting for it to work, otherwise you're going to have extra here or here. But if they're the same, then that's a beautiful way to finish it off.